Okay, so we're going to try and start a new channel here on YouTube called Kaimishu Tech. The idea is as we come up with new ideas, new ways to do things up here, record it for instructional purposes for other people and see what works. So today we got a condensation problem in a container. It's causing issues. Obviously, too much moisture in the container storage is going to be a problem. So we're going to put an air vent in there, a solar powered air vent, and we're going to weld up a box to sit it on top of, and we'll capture it as we go along and see how it all works out. So after unboxing, you can see what we have here is your basic garden variety solar powered roof vent. Got the big flange on the bottom to seal out the water. And once we build our box and attach it to it, we'll cut that flange down so that we've got a nice fit, and then we'll seal it. So for this box, they're basically saying to cut the hole at 14.5 inches, which makes sense. But because we're building a box around the outside of it, we're going to make a box that's about 16 inches, and then we'll put some angle iron on it, and then screw it to it. Okay, so after some fun with the plasma cutter, I've got 4 pieces of 4-inch, 1/8-inch thick steel to weld into the angle iron that I just welded up, and that should complete the box. And then we'll attach the fan to it. Okay, all the welding's done now. Now to grind the edges so that they're smooth, and clean it up for painting, and we'll have it ready to mount to the flange. Okay, so the grinding's done, welding's done, ready for some paint, and then it's time to go put all this together. Okay, day 2. So we've got the flange all nice and painted up, sealed up, and went ahead and took some self-tapper screws with the little seals on them and drilled those up through the bottom. So that's all attached. As you can see, I've got roughly a 1/2 inch all the way around on the inside. So now I'm going to take a brush and take off the bottom 1.5 inches of the paint on the outside, just so I can weld to it, and we should be ready to put this all back together, take it up to our container, and use our angle grinder to cut a hole in the roof. Okay, so here we are put back together. See the screening in there. Make sure that's up all the way to the top so there's no openings. I've skinned off the bottom of the flange for welding. And I beveled the edges. I cut the edges back on the trim for the fan, and then I beveled them with a hammer a little bit just to kind of bring them down and help the water run off. But there you get a feel for the finished product ready to go into the roof. On the inside, it's 16 inches. The box size is 16 inches on the inside measurement. So when you're welding up the angle irons, just leave 16 inches, cut your 4-inch pieces, and weld them in, and it's a pretty solid box. Okay, so here we are on the roof of the container. I'm not going to go all the way to the end to put the vent. I do want to put it closer to one end so I can draw air from one end towards the other, so I'll probably come in a little bit, but not too much. And the first thing I'm going to do is find the center and drill some holes and cut it with a Sawzall so it's big enough just to get an extension cord through, and then I'll take my angle grinder and do some nice precision cuts. As far as the significance of the 16 inches on the inside of the box, 16 inches is exactly the center to both of the raised corrugations here, and here. So that allows you to have a nice solid vantage at both ends. So there's our hole for the generator power to come through, so I can finish cutting the hole here. A couple of things that occur to me while walking around up here. It's an older container, but I think containers in general, the roof is pretty soft. So that's why one of the advantages to using 1/8 inch steel and building that box is that we're not going to weaken it by cutting the 16 inch square hole in it. So it'll still be fairly strong even after cutting it. The other thing is that the roof isn't very even. So through various years of use and abuse, trying to put something that's perfectly flat and attach it to it may not be very successful from a leak perspective, just because there are so many variations in the roof. So this way, when we line it up, we're pretty much going to weld it exactly as it is level wise. Okay, back in a bit once we get this hole cut. All right, so the angle grinder with the cutoff wheel made short work of that. Some really minor grinding, and it fits perfect. So it's a good tight fit. Looks good. Had to pull the top off so I could get the extension cord through. Now to take the brush and prep the metal for welding, and then figure out how I'm going to get the welder up here. Okay, we're all welded in here. Get it all cleaned up. Take a brush to it and touch up the paint, and we're done. Here, anyway. So there's the finished product. Cleaned it all up and painted it with Rust-Oleum. It's all sealed in there good. I also took just a couple angle irons and threw a couple welds on there for the solar panel, pointed it, and it's ready to go. I just tack welded the front of the angle iron so I could, if I need to break it off later and move it or do something different, I can do that. But and it's solid, it's strong enough. But otherwise, it went easy. It just took a couple days. The one thing to note is that when you cut a big hole in the roof like that, it really weakens the roof. So using 1/8 inch steel for the box and then welding it back in, you can see the floor. It's actually more solid here now than it is walking over here. So big difference. Recommend it. Don't go cheap on the steel, and that's it. So a couple of footnotes. It's good to cut holes and put vents in. Obviously the air needs to come in order to go out. So got a couple of soffit vents I used, screwed them in there. Another footnote, had a buddy of mine gave me a good suggestion to weld a piece of angle iron diagonally across the bottom of the box after it's been welded in. That way if somebody ever does tear the top off the fan, there's no way they can crawl into that 16 inch hole, because there's an angle iron across there. Thanks. Have a good one.